Kufa Vampire enters a house and clashes with a white-haired man who escapes. He discovers the man he came to talk to, Lord Elsnes, is dead. Kufa travels to the Angel family estate and meets Melida Angel, having been hired as her tutor. He accompanies Melida to an academy where she is mocked into a sparring match by Nerva Martillo. Nerva mocks her for not having mana manifested at a young age. Melida loses to Nerva and labels her an incompetent talented girl. Nerva reveals Melida dreams of joining Crest Legion, and that Melida's cousin Elise will one day join, as her new tutor is from the same guild. Melida runs away in shame. Kufa recalls being hired by Melida's grandfather, Lord Mordru, who believes Melida's mother, his deceased daughter Melinoa, had an affair with Elsnes, a commoner. If proven, Melida would not be the rightful heiress of House Angel and would never awaken mana. Kufa's guild, White Knight, was investigating until Elsnes was assassinated. Kufa sees no progression with Melida having mana and concludes she is illegitimate and must be assassinated. Kufa tracks her to a garden where she was chased by lycanthropes deliberately led into the dome by Mordru to pressure Melida's mana into awakening through combat. Melida is defeated but refuses to call for help. Kufa kills the lycanthropes, deciding he cannot ignore her strong spirit. He tells her there's a way to awaken her mana, but it may kill her. She agrees, so Kufa drinks a potion and feeds it to her via a kiss. She collapses but later wakes up with the ability to use mana. Kufa decides he must hide the fact she is illegitimate and keep what he did to awaken her mana a secret from everyone, or they will both be executed. After checking her body for possible side effects from the potion, Kufa reveals to Melida that receiving mana this way means she isn't a paladin, but a samurai like him, and has her keep her awakening a secret. They are later approached by Elise and her own private tutor, Roasty Prickett. Roasty tries to make a move on Kufa, but he rejects her advances, causing her to vow that Elise will defeat Melida at the Academy's end of semester tournament. Sometime later, as the tournament begins, Melida finds that her first match is against Nerva. While initially shocked that Melida can use mana now, Nerva manages to corner her. However, she refuses to give up and defeats Nerva by copying one of Kufa's techniques. Afterwards, Melida approaches her father with her victory, but he just tells her not to get cocky, while Nerva apologizes for bullying her. Melida and Kufa then watch Elise's match, who instantly defeats her opponents. Melida asks Kufa out to the upcoming school festival, but he declines. She takes up a dress in hopes of matching with Elise, but is disheartened to see Elise forced to wear something fancier on her family's orders. Ashamed, Elise runs away and Melida follows her when they are both kidnapped by lycanthropes. They are brought to an abandoned museum where their leader, a half-lycanthrope named William Jin, reveals he was ordered to transfer Elise's mana to Melida to make her a paladin. Melida flees with Elise, but are eventually cornered. Fortunately, they are saved by Kufa and Roasty, while Jin flees. Kufa gives chase, causing Jin to release a massive lycanthrope. While Kufa is able to defeat it, he is gravely injured in the process. However, he then reveals himself to actually be half vampire, the strongest type of lycanthrope, and proceeds to easily defeat Jin. However, Kufa lets Jin live on the condition that he falsely informs his superiors that he discovered traces of paladin mana in Melida, thereby giving them no incentive to attack her again. Back at the festival, Kufa asks Melida for a dance, and she asks him to stay by her side forever. Elsewhere, a mage called Black Madia is tasked with investigating Kufa by his guild, who are concerned that he has gone rogue. In a flashback, Elise remembers Melida protecting her from a lycanthrope wolf while they were lost in the forest. Kufa and Roasty arrive at the academy where the principal announces the tournament between St. Friedswyd and the St. Dotrich Girls' Academy called the Luna Lumiere Selection. Melida and Elise are picked to participate for their school, shocking the staff and students. Melida is able to pick 2 teammates, so she chooses Nerva, and Shenfa Zwidok join her team. Afterwards, they train and eventually take a break. While resting, Melida is surprised by Mule Lamour, a student from St. Dotrich, who encourages her. That night, Kufa catches a maid from Elise's household trying to leave and tricks her into admitting she switched the names of the competitors competing in the tournament in an attempt to sabotage the relationship between Melida and Elise and eventually force them to fight. Melida seeks her approval instead and challenges the maid that if she wins the tournament, she will form a unit with Elise. Kufa meets Black Media after leaving Melida, who tells him to bring her a sample of Melida's blood for closer examination to prove his loyalty to the guild. Kufa refuses and the two begin to fight, but is immediately outmatched by Black Media and her clown class, which lets her mimic any classes and their abilities. Kufa appears to give in until Rosty joins him, causing Black Media to leave, but not before promising she won't be far away. Meanwhile, Elise suggests losing to Melida on purpose in the tournament as she doesn't believe Melida can defeat her if she truly fights and she wants to form a unit with her. 3 days before the Luna Lumiere selection tournament begins, Kufa and Rosty ask the academy principal to suspend the event until they find Black Media, but are refused. At lunch, Melida appears to eat alone when Rosty comes up to Elise and asks her about if something happened between them. Nerva and Shenfa sit next to Melida and begin to discuss a strategy to prepare for the tournament. The night before it starts, Kufa asks Melida about her issues with Elise, and she reveals Elise's decision to lose on purpose. Kufa suggests to Melida to talk to her alone and sort it out as siblings. At the beginning of the tournament, Nerva and Shenfa fends off attacks from Elise's teammates, allowing Melida to fight Elise alone. Meanwhile, Kufa finds a suspicious girl alone at the top of a school tower observing the battle below. Thinking she is Black Media, he attacks her, but is surprisingly fended off. He then asks her name and apologizes when she reveals herself as Mule L'Amour. Melida and Elise fight each other back and forth until Melida catches Elise by surprise and knocks her out of the fight, before resigning herself from the tournament. Nerva then talks to them and Melida noticed Nerva was an imposter using different mana and reveals she's actually Black Media in disguise. Kufa and Rosty then confront Black Media and easily defeat her. Kufa transports her outside of the academy and gives her a letter to report to father on Melida's growth. Later, Cara Espada from St. Dotrich is revealed to have won the tournament. Melida confronts Elise about wanting to form a unit again, and she happily agrees. At night, Rosty approaches Kufa about a possible rumor among the students. Meanwhile, Melida, Elise, Mule, and Salacha Skixel sneak out and travel through a tunnel to meet the rest of their classmates in secret. Shenfa toasts a party to everyone from St. Friedeswid and St. Dotrich for a completed tournament. Afterwards, while everyone cheerfully enjoys the party, Mule tells them an old story about a married couple and how it soon soured to the point where the husband killed his wife and cut out her heart. Salacha then chimes in and says that the woman, now known as the Grey Witch, still wanders the earth and cuts the hearts out of young girls, scaring both Elise and Melida. Suddenly, the lights go out and a shadow of a woman with red mana stands in the doorway. Melida, thinking it is the girl from the story, asks if the shadow is the Grey Witch, only for the woman to smirk. Terrified, Melida, Elise, Mule, and Salacha flee from the room as the witch begins to wreak havoc. They head back through the tunnel until they come across unknown sticky, pink blobs of goo that cover them from head to toe. They continue to run until they are blocked at the exit by the witch. They decide to fight their way out, but are easily defeated and turn to run away. They manage to find their way out and see Kufa out on watch duty, but are horrified to see his heart having been stabbed out. Kufa brings them back to the dorm and explains how he found out about the secret party from Rosty and decided to play along with her scheme of portraying the Grey Witch. He lectures the girls for breaking curfew and to go back to their rooms, but they end up too exhausted from the ordeal and share a bed for the night. Melida awakens from a nightmare to Kufa telling her to get ready for a school field trip. As they got to the academy, Rosty runs up and suddenly proposes to Kufa to take her as his fiancée in order to trick her father, Marquis Blossom Prickett, who has already hand-picked someone for her. Kufa agrees, much to Melida's chagrin. Once Blossom arrives, he brings up the idea to perform the wedding ceremony in Shangarda, the destination of the field trip in Rosty's hometown, but Rosty says she's happy with her current fiancé. Blossom studies Kufa closely and is reminded of a serial killer from Roasty's youth who is supposedly dead, though Roasty doesn't remember it. Concerned, Melida ditches class and runs to ask Kufa about this.